Good evening. We'll call this meeting of the Fargo Public School Board to order. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'd
Dinah?
like to make a motion to approve the agenda, but with one change, and that is to reverse the order under staff reports, B, 1 and 2, reverse those so that the EdClap Elementary could go first.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda with that change, B1 and 2 reversed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We have no one signed up to address the board, but we have a lot of wonderful guests tonight. So we'll first go to Dave and the FEA report.
Hello. I think I reported a couple weeks ago I'd do membership. So we have our membership kind of numbers are in and things. And so we have about 868 members this year. And then there's about 13,000 North Dakota United members, which are all teachers and public employees throughout North Dakota. So that's kind of just a quick little summary on our membership. We did have our building rep meeting last night, and I asked the reps to bring in some things that they're doing in their schools that we may not be aware of. A couple things that they mentioned at Eagles, the second graders are doing a collection of donations for soldiers overseas. They're making cards and the donations will be sent over there in December, I believe. So that was kind of a neat little program they're doing there. And as well as Clara Barton, they're doing some entrepreneur business. They're having a boutique on December 3rd. They'll be selling their whatever they're making. It could be baked goods or jewelry or whatever it is. And so that'd be kind of something exciting too to go check out if you're available that day. And so those are a couple things that are happening in our schools.
Great, thank you. That's fun to hear. Any questions for Dave? Great, thank you for that report. Appreciate it. It's nice to know. Sounds like you have good membership numbers this year. I'll turn it over to Dr. Gross for our presentations.
Great, thank you very much. You can see from the agenda that we'd like to share some more information about positive school culture with you this evening. This is actually the third meeting in a row in which we've shared or asked staff to come and share with you. 2 meetings ago, Mr. Berkman came to share with you about some of the things that were happening at Woodrow Wilson. The last meeting we had Troy Cody, the principal at Davies, share with you some of the activities that are happening there. Across all of our buildings, one of the things that we ask is every building to look at data and to come up with a school climate and culture plan. So the different opportunities that we are bringing forward over the course of the meetings, and again tonight, is to show you some of the differences that are taking place in our buildings. The non-negotiable is that all of our buildings are working on that goal of how do we improve culture and how do we make that the best place for our students and for our staff. So tonight we have both a middle school and an elementary presentation for you, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Agri to introduce our elementary presenters.
Thank you. Just to set the stage a little bit, we have Jennifer Schulteis here, who is the principal at EdClap Elementary. She moved over when we opened that building from Lincoln, and prior to that, as an administrative team across the district, we read the 7 Mindsets, which I believe Carl Ben-Eilson and Mr. Larson will be sharing some information about their work. And as Jennifer really worked to build that staff and the culture climate before the kids even came to the doors, they had a really good conversation about, is this the route we want to go? And she can speak much more eloquently than I can about it, but they discovered another text called The Leader in Me, and through a lot of conversations, they decided that would be the route that they would go, and have really followed through with that, and it's a language, if you will, spoken amongst their staff and their students, and likely several of the parents that are in the audience. So Jennifer will start off, and then each participant will introduce themselves as they go. So thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. So as Dr. Agri was saying, a lot of time and energy went into planning a new school, specifically a lot of time and energy thinking about what we wanted that culture to look like. We know very well that a positive staff culture is what in turn leads to a positive student culture. So we did a lot of exploration, and we ended up working to implement The Leader in Me, which is based on the 7 habits of highly effective people. And the kid version of that is called the 7 habits of happy kids. We really have a philosophy at EdClap for both our students and staff that everybody can be a learner and everybody can be a leader. And we want you to lead based on your passions and your strengths. And both staff and students have really embraced that philosophy, as I think you'll see in our video tonight that our students are going to share with you. You'll also see and hear some words like being proactive and synergizing, beginning with the end in mind. And we are really finding out that this is not just some fancy vocabulary that our students are learning, but leadership has the power to truly transform students. It has the power to transform a school. And that's, in fact, what we are working on implementing. The 7 habits are also not just something extra that we do, but it's actually our main initiative for helping to increase our reading and math scores, because we know that students who feel safe, who feel secure, who feel connected to school are much more likely to achieve. So it is actually one of our main initiatives for reading and math, as well as just developing that positive culture and actually being able to implement some 21st century skills, which again, I think you'll see tonight highlighted in the video. The other exciting piece about this is it has really been a teacher-led mission, and Lisa Danielson is going to tell you a little bit more about that.
Hi, I'm Lisa Danielson, and I teach first grade at EdClap. This really began as a journey for me to help build some characteristics in my kids regarding, responsibility, better problem solving, and teamwork. Those were all challenges that I was facing even with my little kids, and so I set out on a journey to Pinterest, of course, because that's where teachers go for all their ideas. And when I typed in leadership for kids, I came across this Leader in Me book, and I've been very blessed to work with an administrator who has been very supportive of it. I've really seen a lot of change in my kids. They really do take ownership for what they do. They understand that the language, and we have this common language that it's not just talk, 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 but, oh, is that the most proactive thing you could have done? How does that choice affect others around you? Is this a win-win for everybody in our classroom? So that language has really helped to tighten things in so that the kids know exactly what they're expected to do. Throughout the journey, when I started it, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I found that I was challenging these little kiddos in ways that I never, ever thought that I would challenge a first grader. But I have to say that most of the time, they really rise to the challenge, and sometimes they just shock me with what they can do. As a teacher, of course, I'm an encourager of students, and I've learned through this process that it's really more than about just encouraging kids to do and follow their dreams, but we have to give them a skill set that helps them to be successful. And these habits are all things that are found within successful people. So the younger we can start them with these habits, then the more likely they'll grow up to be successful adults.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Tizer, and I'm the school counselor at EdClap. And what I want to do is just share with you, one of the beauties, as we all know, when you talk about culture and you talk about climate, it really starts with the adults. You really have to have that foundation laid before you can even begin to have students buy into it and own it. And so one of the beauties of the Leader in Me was that when I made the decision to apply for the school counselor position at EdClap, I knew right up front that was part of what the direction they were going, part of what they wanted to embrace. So I knew going into it that this was something that I was ready to buy into and embrace again wholeheartedly, as all of the teachers did and all of the staff did as they were coming into our building. So that just is, for me, I think that's the place where everything begins, at that foundational level for the teachers to buy into it. And because of that, now what we have done is using that language of the Leader in Me and along with the 7 habits, you have to look at, the kids have an opportunity to look at leadership really as we're doing right now. We're doing a book study with our staff. And within that book study, it talks about leaders being leaders of themselves or leaders of others. And I think every one of us has that ability. We may not be that person who's going to be out there leading all of the people behind us, but boy, can we be the best us? Can we be our best leader? And that's really what we're tapping into too. And one of the pieces of being a great leader is being able to give back to others. And we are embracing right now different service projects. So each one of our grade levels right now is embracing a different service project that they're going to take on for the entire year. So kindergarten has their own service project that they'll embrace, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. And as Jennifer said, we're going to kick those off on the 31st with our classes sharing with the entire school, here's the service project we're going to be working on all year. So that's going to be a really nice moment for them. We're also looking at bringing in on November 21st, we are bringing in 4 different nonprofits into our building, again, to help us learn to give back and become those leaders of our community. So we're going to work with these 4 nonprofits that we are still finalizing and bringing in high school students to, again, help us give back and working together with our community on November 21st in the afternoon. Those are great service projects, but then within our building too, the other piece that we're really looking at is how do we help our students own that leadership role, take on some of those commitments in our building. So our 5th graders, the piece that we're working on right now, and we really are looking to expand, and you know that anything that starts from a foundational level, you know that by year 2, we're still growing, we're still learning, and this is going to be a process for us. But at 5th grade right now, what our 5th graders do is that they are actually what we call our guest teacher greeters. They have a script that they go into each of our classrooms that has a guest teacher. They talk to the students and say, we know there's a guest teacher in your room right now, and we know that you are going to be the best leaders that you can be, so that your teacher will see this award saying, our students were awesome leaders. We were the EdClap leaders that we're expected to be, and our guest teacher is going to be able to tell our teacher all about that. So our 5th graders are doing that. They also do what we call brain breaks with some of our younger students. So there are walking buddies, and they will take those little bodies on little walks, just a quick little walk around the building and get them right back into class. Our 4th graders have owned what we call greeting. So they are our greeters right now. We have 4 4th graders that greet our students every morning from 8 o'clock till 8:20, and they have their little orange vests on, so everybody knows that they are the greeters and greeting the kids and the adults as they walk into our building. And our 3rd grade is embracing the opportunity to actually lead our students with the pledge, the pledge, and then also our school pledge. We're still working on how we're going to incorporate 2nd grade and 1st grade and kindergarten. So know that that's a piece that we're always looking for, because every one of us, as we all believe, has that great leadership opportunities that we can share by showing what great leaders we are to ourselves or to others around us. And so with that said, I am now going to turn it over to Mr. Longthorn. There he is. And he will introduce you to some of our awesome leaders already.
Kirby kind of freaked him out with the live YouTube thing. So I'm Rob Longthorn. I teach gifted and talented students at EdClap Elementary, as well as a little moonlighting at Longfellow. I am blessed enough to have these kiddos here in my life. These are 5th graders from EdClap that come to me for both math and language arts. And we are all happy kids. Those 7 habits for happy kids, when you see them and the more you hear about them and the more you start to read them and watch the kids do it, you start to look at it and go, no, this is a big picture thing. It's not just kids. So we've been learning a lot from our students on how that goes. We were given this project about 3 weeks ago or so. We had to finish up another project. And just I wanted you to keep in mind that these kids we aren't together all day long. They come in 30-minute chunks twice a day. So we had probably 8, maybe 10 visits of half-an-hour chunks to put this together. So it was very interesting to work under pressure. We didn't come up with the app to use until about halfway through the project. So I just kind of laid back and reminding them, this is what's next, and here are the dates, and let's get it done. And so they came here today to kind of watch the final project as well, and to present and introduce little pieces of it. So why don't you go ahead and tell them who you are and kind of how we rolled this out.
My name is Devin. We were given this project to complete on the 7 habits and leadership in Ed Clapp Elementary School.
My name is Caitlin, and we had to plan a lot. We figured out when we were gonna videotape things and stuff like that.
Went through a lot of Post-its.
So, my name is Xavier, and we had to figure out what we were going to film, and we had to film a lot. And our
How'd that go for us?
I-
When we filmed a lot and took a lot of pictures and
volume
then tried to
wasn't
use them.
working very well, so we had to refilm a lot.
My name is River, and we had to figure out how to use this app. And we used this app to make the video and to put it together.
So yeah, it was a lot of trials and tribulations trying to get through this. Kirby, were you gonna turn on? Yeah.
Excuse me, my name is River, and I'm here to welcome you to Ed Clapp and thank you for choosing to spend your day with us. I would also like to briefly visit with your class.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Xavier. I'm a 5th grade student here and want to talk to you for a minute. We know that our school is working on helping us to be the best leaders we can be. Today is your chance to show your guest teacher what great leaders look like and sound like in your classroom. Today you can be proactive and do what is right even though your teacher is not here to see it.
Hi, my name is Lily and I'm in 1st grade. Proactive means doing the right thing even when no one is looking. My name is Rhonda. I'm in 1st grade. Say first to understand, then be understood means listen, then talk. Eight, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, you caught that.
Students will also have an opportunity to share this with the entire school next Monday at our first school-wide assembly. But this also really gave them a chance to be leaders and implement some of those 21st century skills. One of the hardest things they found was when they asked what the time limit could be, we had said it can only be about 3 minutes. So they had to do a lot of discussion in order to decide what to highlight and what to emphasize tonight. So do you have any questions for them or anybody else?
That was amazing. Anybody have any questions or comments?
No question, just comment that I'm particularly lucky tonight because both of these schools are my liaison schools. And all of the teachers and staff in the room are people that I've known almost the whole time that I've been on the board. So I'm really proud of all of you and for the students for coming out. Thank you. And it really is fun to see all this. I was at CBE this week for my liaison visit, and part of that was about the culture, and I'm just really impressed, so thank you.
Anyone else? That was just remarkable. Very, very impressive. Thank you so much for making that to share with us and for coming here tonight to share that with us. Very inspiring. Thanks so much. Bravo. You guys are great. Pardon me? Yep. You guys can. Thank you so much. You probably. All right. Okay, Dr. Gross?
Well, I think what you've had the opportunity to see is from the high school perspective and from the elementary perspective, different things that are being done around our district when it comes to culture. And the last presentation that we'd like to share with you is from the middle level perspective. And tonight, Mr. Larson is here, principal of Carl Ben Eielson, and he has some others, and he will introduce his staff as they go through their presentation on what they are doing in their building to work on a positive school culture. So, Mr. Larson.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gross and School Board, for allowing us to be here. We're excited to share some of the things that are taking place at Carl Ben Eielson. First off, the motto that we have at Carl Ben Eielson is great relationships produce great students. It's something that we've had for a number of years, and the kids and the adults hear that motto every day. It's posted on our walls, but it's said every day, and we truly believe that if we work on the relationship of the students, not only the students, but the adults and the parents and the school board and the district office, everybody, if we make stronger relationships with all of those units, we're going to produce better kids. So we work hard on that. Some of the culture things that we do, we've got a number of different, and I'll just touch on a couple. First off, our counselors a number of years ago started a thing called ABC, which is a coupon that the kids get. Teachers have those. When they see kids going above and beyond what is expected, they give them a coupon. Those coupons go to the counseling office in a box, and every other week we pull 20, 25 names out of the hat for those kids to come down for about 25 minutes to have ice cream with us, with the principals and counselors. Other things that we do, we try to recognize kids positively on a daily basis. Every day we have at the Bruin of the Day, where every one of our teams, we have 8 teams in our buildings. Every day those teams recognize one student, and their name is announced each morning on our Eielson Today, our TV news program. Just recognizing them, they come down and they get a wristband that has great relationships on it. But we recognize them publicly and give them a coupon and so on. So hopefully by the end of the year, every student has been recognized. Many have been recognized multiple times, but we want to try to catch kids doing good things. The last thing that I'll talk about is the 7 mindsets, and I'm not going to talk about it much. I've got some other people here that will talk about this. And this is a program that we went, and I'm not going to steal the thunder from Beth, but she'll talk about the history of this, but we use it in our advisory. Advisory in the middle level is something that is a key component to the middle level philosophy, and it's nationwide probably one of the toughest things to maintain. The goal of advisory is relationship. It's not an academic, it is relationship. So at Carl Ben Eielson, we have worked hard to try to create things that take place during that time. There's a 45-minute period every day where the kids are in advisory, or, you know, that's changed a little bit this year with the new scheduling, but it's still a big piece of what we do. And we found 7 Mindsets, and it's a program that Beth will talk about, but we've adopted that into our building, and it's a relationship piece. It's a video, and there's a lot of communication between kids and adults, talking about the 7 Mindsets and relationships. So with me tonight, I have 3 of my teachers. I've got, first with 6th grade, I've got Alicia Collins, who's going to talk in a little bit. And I've got Beth Eckery, who's a 7th grade teacher, and Joan Bechtold, who is an 8th grade teacher. Each one of them will speak on a piece of this. So I will turn it over first to Beth Eckery, who will talk about the history of 7 Mindsets.
Evening, how are you? Wasn't that heartwarming? As we all know, that's why we do what we do. Where other teachers have heard, oh, that's so cute. So, I am a middle school teacher at Carl Ben Eielson, and I just want to thank you for what you do. This is a big year for us, I know, as Fargo Public Schools, and you are incredibly instrumental for maintaining the level of excellence that we get to have every day in the classrooms with our students. So thank you. I know the work is hard. I know the job is big. And we have 7 mindsets for you, and we want you to embrace them because we're gonna need them. The 7 mindsets came through a really cool history. One of my colleague Joan is going to tell you about the 7 mindsets. You have a little kind of a Cliff Notes version in front of you, but we know intuitively, but also with great research data, that what we think about, we bring about. And so whether you're in finance, or whether you're an entrepreneur, or whether you're a retired teacher, or whether you're in business, or a mom, or all of the things that you have your hands and fingers in, like intuitively, like how I think about what I want to do or accomplish, it starts with our thoughts. And so teaching that to students is really powerful. Similar to the Stephen Covey program, the 7 Habits, this came through Jeff Waller and Scott Schickler are the co-authors of 7 Mindsets. They create something called the Ultimate Life Summit. It comes with years of research and also millions of dollars as they sorted through kind of the successful people of life. What are the commonalities? What do they have in common? And they came up with, this is what they have in common. And it wasn't their gender, and it wasn't their background, and it wasn't their ethnicity, and it wasn't all those other things we know, their education level. It was how they thought, and it was the mindsets that they had about their life. And so we have been able to embrace that. I worked closely with a colleague, Mark Rowe. We started a nonprofit with a social entrepreneurship group, trying to get students just motivated to start businesses with a social cause. And we were granted a grant by DMF, Dakota Medical Foundation, for $25,000. And we knew foundationally that we had to make sure that the kids that we were working with had to think differently and had to come in with a mindset like, everything's possible. Let's dream it. Let's do it. We're working together, live and to give. The time is now, and Joan's going to go into that a little bit more. And so then, after that kind of took off, I am also obviously a teacher, and am blessed to have a remarkable administrator that when we were posed with the idea of coming up with something with our advisory, we presented it, and he was like, yes. And so we piloted it, and then that next year, we went ahead and implemented it in all of our grades. And so now we're in our 4th year the first year was pilot, but we're in our 3rd year. And so we're seeing some growth. It's a slow process. If you were to draw the line from where we are today to success, it's not ever a straight line. Go ahead, draw the line. What's it look like? It looks like this, right? Like it's so convoluted, and there's lots of turns and setbacks, and but that's where we learn, and that's where we get better. And so teaching kids how to think differently is really, really powerful. So my colleague Joan is going to tell you how you can change your life by changing how you think. So
I am Joan Bechtold. I am an 8th grade English language arts teacher at Carl Ben Eielson. And so this is my 3rd year working with this program. And let's find out, what are these great mindsets that these people that are highly successful and happy have. And, the great thing about these, there's lots of these posters and pictures to go with them. And it's great talking points with our students so that we can have a way to bounce off these ideas and really talk about some of these soft skills that they need. It gives us a way to think about how can we get rid of some of that negative self-talk that all of us have, and how can we shift towards more positive thinking. So the first mindset is everything is possible, and you can see there is a quote up there on this one. But this mindset covers things like dreaming big. Don't limit yourself. Set really high expectations for yourself. Embrace creativity. Think positive. If you look for the good, you will find more good. And act and adjust. You know, if you don't change how you act, nothing is going to change. We have to do other things. There is not necessarily failures, just feedback. How do we change ourselves? The next mindset is passion first. This is probably my favorite one. One of my favorite quotes that goes with this one is about where your talents and the needs of the world meet, that's your vocation. And I think as teachers, that is just so true. We do this because we love doing it. And it's a great thing to talk about kids with. You know, what do you love doing? What are you good at? And that's what that mindset covers. Focusing on your strengths, exploring what you're good at, making a stand. Do what you like to do, and you will become more successful. And be authentic. We all want to be our own person. The next mindset that all these people had in common, we are connected. And this is a mindset that helps us embrace diversity and learn how other people can play a part in our success. We aren't just individuals, we all work together. So we have embrace everyone, maximizing positive relationships, building your own dream team. I think that one's a really important one. Hang around people that will raise you up, not bring you down. And lead with value. 100% accountable. I think this one probably explains itself, but own your own life. Be able to think for yourself. Overcome limiting beliefs. We find that the greatest limits that people have are the ones they put on themselves, and how can we overcome that? And then focus your energy and growing through life. Not everything that happens to us is good, but we still grow through it. Attitude of gratitude is the next one. I think we hear a lot in our community about this one. You know, treasuring yourself, being more grateful, thinking about the positives, thank it forward, and elevating your perspective. Again, thinking about the fact that even though we have adversity, maybe those are the things that are making us better. And then live to give. In order to be happy and have respect and success in life, you have to give those things to others too. So we talk about things like treasuring or stretching yourself, making a difference in the world, how to receive gracefully. I think that one's one that all of us struggle with. And then leaving a legacy, that the effects that we have on others is often the most important thing we leave behind. And then the last one, the time is now. You need to embrace the moment. We can't live in the past, it's done. The future's not here yet. So let's be present and live what we have right now. Act with purpose. Is what I'm doing going to move me forward? With our mindsets, each week when we do a lesson, there's activities to go with that. And so Alicia Collins is going to challenge you with an activity.
Yeah, or you can go to. That wasn't my idea. That wasn't. All right, so what does 7 Mindsets look like within the classroom? The 7 Mindsets curriculum is filled with various activities. They have prezzies, they have various videos based on successful people and how they've become successful in their lives. And so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to do a little activity with you that I just did in my classroom last week. And so what I need you to do is, in front of you is a structure that I have created. I need you to recreate that structure using scissors and that paper, but you are not allowed to touch the structure that is in front of you.
Okay? Now, in my classroom, they got probably 5 to 10 minutes to recreate this, but due to time, you're only gonna get like 1 or 2 minutes. So good luck. Good luck. Yep, if you need another sheet of paper, we have extra paper if you've messed up. I didn't mess up yet. Oh, not yet. Oh, you're just preparing yourself. We did this activity, and you can keep working. We did this activity for the first mindset, which is everything is possible. But based on that, there's different topics. And this one had to do with act and adjust, which has to do with when you come upon a struggle, how do you respond to that struggle? So while the kids were working on this, while the kids were working on this, what myself as a teacher was doing, I was walking around the room, and I was taking notes on everything that I was hearing the students say. And so at about 7 minutes, I went up to the board, and I started writing down the things that I had heard within my classroom. I give up. This is too hard. This is impossible. And I have to be honest with you, I heard that in this room as well. Or, I can't do this. Just show us how to do it, Mrs. Collins, right? And so I stopped them because the frustration level had hit a max. I mean, one person in 10 minutes figured it out. And by that time, everyone was frustrated at that person who figured it out. Did you feel it? Did you feel it? So I had them put their stuff down, and we read through all of the quotes that were on the board. Like, I don't get it, all of those things. And I said, what if I was the person that everything that came out of my mouth sounded like that? What would you think of me as a person? And the students were great. They got it. Well, we think you're so negative, Mrs. Collins. Like, you give up easy. We wouldn't want to be your partner if things got hard. But then I told them that these are things that just came out of your mouth. And then they kind of all got quiet like, oh, now I get what you're talking about, Mrs. Collins. So we really talked about that we don't notice the things that are coming out of our mouth, and somehow our words can be our best friend or they can be our worst enemy. And we need those words that come out of our mouth to be our best friend, because otherwise, if we continue to say those negative things, we're going to be giving up. And we need to take that failure and turn that failure into feedback. And so that's kind of where that lesson, that's how we got started. From there, did you get it? Good work. With the right-handed scissors. Exactly. So then from there, we talked about on how famous people like Michael Jordan, and we talked about on how he took 51 last-minute shots, tie-breaking shots, and of those 51, he only made 25 of those shots. But he kept trying, and that he didn't give up. And that successful people, in order for you to become successful, you have to take action. But a lot of times, the biggest obstacle about taking action is the fear of failure and the fear of other people seeing us fail. And so we got in a good conversation about why is this so hard? And it's because the admission that I can't do it. And so we talked about on how we're all very different, but the one thing that we do have in common is that we all struggle at something. And that's when we can use our dream team to help us accomplish those goals. So that is just kind of what it looks like coming into a middle school classroom and the struggles that they are experiencing and how we kind of teach them to change that mindset. So.
Any questions?
That was,
We low budget.
perfect. That was amazing. Jennifer?
I guess one of my questions would be, so this is clearly a best practice. I think this is fabulous. Do other schools do this, or how do we share this among schools?
Well, I think, was it 2 years ago at a all-principal meeting, it was presented to all. At that time, we had already been doing it. So all of the schools are aware of this program, whether they've implemented it or not is, I can only speak for ours.
Dr. Gross?
And I think I would want to add to that is, yes, this is a best practice, and what we do across our system is say, all buildings, the non-negotiable is you work on a culture plan. And part of the power of that is growing that from within and getting the people to buy into that plan and to have the passion of the people that you heard tonight. The difficulty of saying, everyone do this, you may not get that same passion. But I think what you heard from the last 3 meetings, it doesn't matter which building it is, there was passion in what they were doing with their culture plan, and it's making a difference for the students and for the staff.
Dinah?
Well, I just wanted to say that I actually was a student in the class when this was done, and I told Alicia she had to bring the same thing so that I would be able to get it right away. But even John beat me by getting it even faster, and I knew what to do. Like, I'm just slow. I mean, I cut in the right places and everything. But anyway, I wanted also to say that I did observe exactly what she described. And it really was a lot of fun watching the kids come around and get to the place that she wanted them to be at, and it really was fun. So thank you for letting me be a student, and thank you for bringing this so that I could appear to be good but not good enough.
Anyone else? I'd just like to echo what Dr. Gross said. I think in my school visits, I've been focusing on asking about each building's culture plan and what kinds of activities they do and talking with the principals about it. And what really strikes me is that every school is so proud of their own, and it really reflects the culture of that building, and it has drawn everybody really tightly together, which I think is just terrific. So my son went through Carl Ben, and I can just picture this happening in that wonderful school. So thank you so much. This was inspiring. This was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for the books. Cool. Okay, Dr. Gross just took the good one, not the one that needs tape.
How about that?
Okay. That's not one of them. Okay, the rest of the meeting is not going to be nearly that much fun. That was fantastic. All right, consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we are to monitoring of GP 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And those are all in front of you. Thank you, everyone who responded this time. Does anybody have any additional comments to make or anything that is not included in your written response? If not, I'd entertain a motion to,
I move to accept the monitoring reports GP 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, and 14 as written.
Second.
motion and a second to approve accept the monitoring of the GP 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And Marie, if you would call the roll, please.
Goldenberg.
Yes.
Johnson. Yes. Knutson.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rodenbiker.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Ani.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes, motion is approved. Thank you. That brings us to board reports. So these are your reports on your committee or outside liaison assignments. And this time, I think we'll start with Brandy.
Mine are in the process, and I did hear, because I did want to do a little bit different stuff, go and visit some of the cheer practices, some of the other groups they have going, so I haven't gotten back to the cheer captain, but I will be doing that this week.
Great, thank you. Chrissy.
One board report is finished, and I'm waiting to connect with Becky. We're playing some phone tag, and I will be doing the other one hopefully next week.
Great, thank you very much. David.
I've completed Bennett and Eagles, and I've set up a visit with Troy down at Davies, and that should wrap them up.
Terrific, thank you. Dinah.
Well, you already heard that I was at CBE for my great day, but the Board of Health also met since our last meeting. The issues on our table are interesting. One is the tobacco tax measure for, which I told you about several months ago when the board was supporting that the measure get on the ballot in the first place. And if you're really on top of things, you'll have seen a letter to the editor on the Inforum already today, because I gather it's posted already, but I guess it'll be in the newspaper in the next days, from the board again supporting that measure. We're always getting a report on the opioid situation now. I can't remember if I told you if I knew the last time we had a meeting or whatever, but one of the Board of Health staff members has been, there's been some reorganization, and part of her role is to do some coordination with all of the pieces within the broader community. So they're moving ahead with trying to get a medical assisted treatment clinic here in town. The Mayor's Commission is moving ahead. There are several other things in the works, so all of the attention that was paid to this topic is really moving forward, and things are changing, and so that's really positive to see. And the other interesting thing was a new issue is urban chickens. So if any of you are interested in having chickens in your backyard, there will soon be some rules and regulations to follow if you wish to raise chickens. So apparently there's quite a bit of that going on. So those were the topics of interest.
Thank you, Dinah. Jim. Livestock report.
I don't know if I can really follow a chicken story, but planning has not met since we last met as a board, but we are scheduled to meet. I believe it's on November 4th at 7:30 in the morning. We have obviously a pretty big week in front of us at the state school board level with the conference, and actually 2 board meetings, one tomorrow night and another one Friday after the conference is over. And I suspect we'll be talking several legislative things during those 2 sessions, to say the least. I have kindly passed on going on the media since the state school board took a position against a constitutional measure that's on the ballot. I've had several different local media outlets figure out that I'm on the state board, so maybe they'd like to have me on their program. Luckily, because of this very board meeting, I'm missing the opportunity to be on Point of View. And unfortunately, because I have to leave to go to Bismarck, I'm just not going to be available for KFGO tomorrow. And I spent the morning over at Sanford so I could avoid being on the Jay Thomas show. I'm going to try my hardest to leave this issue in the hands of the voters and try to be respectful to all of the area legislators who I'm sure are earnestly telling the truth.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca, follow that.
I have some things to say. Okay, so 3 areas. GAC met October 18th, and looks like there are a couple of dates that board members are going to want to put on the schedule. The first one is December 7th, and I think the meeting will be the breakfast meeting will be at 7:30 in the morning. And that will be, so anyone elected or re-elected to the legislature for Fargo will be invited to attend a breakfast in this room where we will talk to them about our top legislative issues once our booklet is finalized. And after the election, we will all receive information in regard to legislators that we will be assigned to contacting, making personal contacts with. And I know we've done in the past where if you have a working relationship with a legislator or another, that you can oftentimes, make a request that you be partnered up with those individuals. So you can let us know on that. And then we talked about a crossover breakfast, which that date's to be determined, but Brock, it'll be after February 24th, right? Well, crossover deadline is February 24th.
It'll be before that.
Right before crossover, yeah. That's right. Okay, so that is, yes, that's to be determined, but we will let you know on that, and that will be in Bismarck at the Kelly Inn. So you're gonna wanna have that on your schedule once we figure out the date. And then we talked about the issues to go into the legislative booklet, and 3 bullet points. 1, sustainable long-term funding. 2, underfunded mandates. And 3, emerging community issues like mental health, drug treatment. And then under sustainable long-term funding, we have foundation aid and property tax relief. And the underfunded mandates, special ed and ELL. And the next meeting for that is November 16th at 7:30 a.m. Did we talk? We're keeping that meeting, right? I remember we talked about, are we going to need it or not, but we're keeping it, right? Okay, then, number 2, last week I was at North High. That's one of my liaison schools, and I was invited to participate in they have a counseling center advisory group, and it's made up of school counselors, building administrator, a couple of parents. There's a gal from NDSU that serves on it. They asked me to be on, and they reviewed, some of the items that they have done in the past in regard to helping kids in the areas of, where do I have this? Academic, career and personal, social development, those kinds of things. And so they have another meeting in April, and they just, they said that this is the first time, or at least the first time in a while, that they've had a school board member on this group. And so it was just interesting to learn what are some of the areas that they offer up to their students. Brandy, did you have something?
I have the 10th of November for our GAC meeting, not the 15th.
Yeah, Madam President, members of the board, recall we're going to meet right after the election to then divvy up legislators for personal contacts, and the normal scheduled meeting would be on November 15th. We're holding that as our regular scheduled meeting. If we need it coming out of the 10th, we'll keep it. If we choose not to, then we won't.
That's right, thank you. I remember we had some kind of discussion. I couldn't remember exactly what it was. Okay, and then in regard to the Native American Commission, they are part sponsors of an event that's gonna be held at the Plains Art Museum. And it's the Native American Juried Arts and Crafts Festival. And I guess this is the second year that it's been held. It's Saturday, November 19th. And there's information on the Plains Art Museum website. But it's a juried show and sale. And again, that's sponsored partly by the Fargo Native American Commission and then also the Plains Art Museum and Daughters of the Earth. And I am not 100% sure when the meeting is going to be next for Native American Commission. We are working on some adjustments because there are a few people that aren't able to make it to that meeting. We're supposed to be meeting the same night as we have our public focus group for Fargo schools. And so I had mentioned that I couldn't be there that evening, and there were some others that can't be there as well. So
Great.
we'll see
Thank
when
you
that
very
is
much.
next. Thanks.
Thank you for your report. Jennifer?
Okay, so I have one report. Health Insurance Committee met this afternoon, and open enrollment is beginning November 1st. So there was talk of the communication plan and how that will be made known. We'll run the month of November. There is also going to be informational sessions that are out on the employee portal right now, much like they did last year. We're going to do again this year about educating around the high deductible option. And what else do I have for you? Really, that's about it. They're interviewing or are in the process of interviewing, sounded like, or made an offer for a new benefits. Yeah. Oh, she did? Oh, so we have a new benefits. What's her benefit? What's her title? Benefit specialist?
Benefits specialist.
Okay, so we will find out who that, is probably shortly. And that's about it. And it looks like some discussion moving forward again around the mission will be happening. So, and communications met prior to the last meeting, so I shared out at the last meeting. And again, just as a reminder, November 14th at noon will be our next meeting. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. John?
I attended Dr. Schatz's road shows at McKinley. The staff one was very well attended, and I think as everybody's been seeing, lots of light bulbs and very positive response to that. The PTA was only with the PTA president since the schedule for the whole thing had come out just after they had most recently met. But she had wanted to meet, understanding the urgency of the situation and wanting to know about it. And also a good conversation, though, just the four of us around the table, and they will be inviting Dr. Schatz or somebody else back for their next full meeting. That's it.
Great, thank you very much. Governance met this morning and for agenda planning, and there'll be a couple policy things coming forward at our next meeting. And our next meeting is going to be November 22nd, and we're going to do December and January event planning because our December governance meeting would have fallen on December 27th, which no one was interested in. So we're going to just do it all on November 22nd. Visited Horace Mann Roosevelt, had a wonderful morning there, and Jefferson PTA, and I'll be doing my school visitation to Jefferson this week. So I would like to, in addition to my report and a little reminder of when our forms are due, just want to mention that both your school liaison visit forms and your North Dakota School Board Conference report forms are both due by the 17th, and we're going to have both of those at the November 22nd meeting. We discussed that this morning, and that's what we came up with. So just a heads up that need to do that. And at your desk, station, whatever, your packet that has all the information that you need for November 3rd, along with the questions and so forth. So hang on to this, those of you that are going to be participating in that, and thank you in advance for doing that. That's going to be an exciting evening. That is all I have. Is anything else? Anyone? Anything else? Okay. Our next meeting is November 8th, and by then we'll all have voted, and we'll be ready to ready to meet and then head out and watch the return. So thank you very much. We're adjourned.